I like the idea that words stir souls, brains stir souls, and I like that approach. I think it's very balanced, and it makes me think that, and I don't remember exactly the outcome of the Peter scenario, but I know everything worked out pretty well, and I think it's because faith, though it happens instantaneously in that it's instant per instant, it's also a much bigger picture as well. And so these moments where Mother Teresa doubts her faith, they were probably that those doubts of faith were probably encouraged by incidents throughout her life, not so much her overarching belief system. And I think I'm really encouraged here, because I know that being a Jew now, the Christians do catch some flack, and for me, it's not my job. I don't feel personally it's not my job to propagate the message of the Jews and downplay the message of the blah 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 blah. Right. It's just not my goal. But I do think the one major thing that the Jews find rather iffy about the Christians, particularly, is the evangelism. They actually work against it. They make it a real. The Jews are not very warm when you start out. In fact, they do the opposite of encourage.
Well, they have that reputation.
They discourage.
Just like my faith has a reputation for being incredibly judgmental.
I'm just a judgmental person. I take faith out of it. I'm getting better at it, I hope. But that's my tradition. I'm trying to stop that.
It's tough. It's human nature.
Yeah, it is. But
so they lean against evangelism.
They do. And it's because I don't think they appreciate kind of the spirit of what you were saying, which I think is I just think it's a good approach, where what you say is to, you're looking for keys that might fit the hole. You're not trying to redesign an entire door around a lock.
Yeah.
You're trying to find keys to fit the hole.
If you honestly believe something and you're passionate about it, you want to show it to
exactly.
other
And
if
as
you're
a marketing promotional guy,
the environment, you
Absolutely.
don't just buy your hybrid and drive it to work back and forth.
Right.
You tell people, look, you really shouldn't throw that in the trash
Exactly.
can. You really shouldn't, change your motor oil and then, throw it into the creek.
really not.
You shouldn't do those
Really
things.
not.
Because you care.
Yes.
If not, you're just a person who's driving a hybrid because you like to look like an environmentalist. And so that's kind of what we're getting at. Evangelism takes place because we want.
Yeah.
We don't.
You believe?
We really don't want to do what people did 1,000 years ago and divide and conquer.
Sure.
If you're doing it in the right spirit, we're doing it because we're worried about you.
Yeah.
We'd like you on our team.
Yeah.
For your benefit.
Right.
Not ours.
Right. And it's up to you to decide if that is for you.
And evangelism is a big turnoff to our generation. I mean, that's not where I'm most effective. I'm not out there beating on doors. It's not my style.
It's a rough job.
I wish I had
rough
that style.
Job. Wow.
It can be really rewarding.
I'm sure.
But it's not for me.
Yeah.
So I'm glad there's Billy Graham's.
Who seems real cool for the most part.
I'm very glad there's those people, but that's not my calling.
Sure.
And some people say that's a cop-out, but it's fine. I believe it. I believe it's not my calling. I believe I would turn more people away than I would turn on.
Well, and I feel that. I also think that examples. I think that's one reason Christ has stuck. And the Jews, of course, kind of, it's weird for them to, not them in general, but I have discussions with Jews, and Christ as a Messiah figure is real touchy. Which I respect because they don't believe that he was a Messiah.
Right.
But Christ as a figure, I don't feel should be so touchy, or as touchy, because I think it's pretty clear that he's an important, a pivotal historical figure.
Absolutely.
And I do think that, I think Jesus kind of got a bad rap, actually, mostly because I think things would be great if
he got crucified. He definitely got.
Well, that was clearly not the way to go. Do not want to go out like that. But I also think that if he were a prophet, that'd be a very different ball game.
Yeah.
But it's all about other people's labels. Is my point. If people labeled him a prophet, hey. If people label him a Messiah, boo. And what I'm saying is, labels are external. Jesus probably didn't walk around and say, this guy. You know,
Yeah.
he just wasn't. The reason I think he's stuck is because he was a good example.
Well, I think, that, and I think where the Christians come from is that we believe, according to prophecy that the Jews believe as well, that there will be a Messiah.
Yes, exactly.
We felt that the prophecies, due to saying where he will come from, what he will be like, and all that, all signs point to Jesus.
Yeah.
And then Jesus gets here and he performs miracles.
Right.
And then the dude who can never be caught screwing up in 33 years.
Yeah.
Just we couldn't hang anything on him.
Sure.
Meets all the descriptions of prophecy, and performs miracles. And then goes, by the way, I am the Messiah.
Did he say that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I didn't know.
He says it in the New Testament. I mean, he's
okay.
And when he preached on the Sermon on the Mount that we saw in Capernaum, I mean, you know, he teaches people that you come to the Lord through me.
I see.
So it's just like it all seems to fit together for us. Which, you know, we came from Judaism, and that's really all it is that there was a group of Jews who said, I've read the Word, I've heard the prophecy, and it points to this dude.
Sure.
And then when he led the example and established himself as respectful and said, oh yeah, by the way, it is me.
Okay.
That's where it's sprung up. It'd be different, I think, if there was no prophecy. And there was not him saying it. If just this dude showed up.
I see, yeah.
Lived this super righteous life.
Yeah, real cool, yeah.
And people started going, it's the Messiah. And he worked, let's say he worked some miracles.
Okay.
And people say because of that he's the Messiah.
Yeah.
You know, I could see myself sitting right here going, no, he was Harry Houdini. You know,
okay.
He's not the Messiah, but no, there is prophecy.
I see.
And it does all seem to point to him.
It jives.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say I've not ever looked at what the Jews believe and said it makes sense and questioned my own. But that's where we're coming from.
Yeah.
Just as some background.
I respect that. I didn't realize it was that explicit from Jesus as a person. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's people that can make a much stronger case than I just made, and I'm sure there's a lot of people in your face that can make a very strong statement against it.
Yeah.
But this is my thoughts on it.
Exactly.
I'm no expert at all.
Well, I am. I totally am. Well, awesome.
I want to talk about one thing.
Yes.
Did you talk about my rant on the tackiness of kind of what's been going on with the churches here?
No.
Yeah.
One moment, real quick. I just want to make sure. Oh, excuse me. Awesome. We're almost done here, but I have another card if you want, or we can let's just let that go and we'll talk.
Yeah, I was gonna. I wanted to finish up my rant about
do.
that. I think it's very classless the way people have claimed their little spot in these holy sites by taking them, knocking them down, and building their stuff on top of it.
Yeah.
This includes Christians, by the way.
Yeah,
not Christians of my particular faith, luckily. So I can rub that in your face.
Sure. Right.
No, which is probably because it's a very new thing, and they've been bopping around 2,000 years ago.
Well, and everything's so factionalized anyway. You're like,
well. But you know, you've got like the last 7 stations of the cross, and you've got Franciscans building I want this station of the cross, and so instead of it being an actual station of the cross, I can walk and have a quiet spiritual moment on a mountain in Jerusalem with the wind blowing. It's you have to come inside my church.
Yeah.
To
my
go
turn.
to this station of the cross because I have state claim to this.
My terms.
And it just felt all wrong. And then you've got the Greek Orthodox who shoved their church right in there and like, oh, you want to come to the next station? Come to my church.
Yeah.
And everywhere we've gone, there's been churches.
Yeah.
They just stamp them right down. And then, of course, the most famous one is what the Muslims did with the Dome of the Rock, which is totally trashy. Just along the lines of what we're saying. And sure, my predecessors would have probably have done the same thing in my faith. They would have totally knocked down that synagogue and built some stuff there. And
praying Indians and, the Christians have their mark.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not being self-righteous. I'm saying I disapprove of it as a whole.
It is rather rude.
I think it's very tacky.
It is rather rude.
And, but with that, there has been some stuff that's been unmolested and been pretty good to look at.
Very little, but some.
Yeah. But it still is just, being here in the area has been very cool. So.
Good, I'm glad. I really like it. And I feel the Christian slant too. It's really interesting to hear, because the Greek Orthodox are Christian. The people you're saying are being tacky are Christians.
Yeah, some of them are, absolutely.
I think
the Jewish landmarks are my landmarks as well.
Exactly.
And so when anybody's infringing on those Jewish landmarks, they're also infringing on my landmarks.
Absolutely.
So that puts me at odds with when the Muslims build stuff on top of synagogues.
And it is rude. I mean,
it is.
Rude.
I'm sure the Jews have done it to the
I'm
Muslims
sure
too.
it's just rude. People are rude.
It's just bad
People are
behavior.
rude. Yeah.
That's my 2 cents. That's all I got.
I think it's totally fair. And legit. Cool. Well, very good. Thank you very much for joining.
Yeah, no problem.
I've thoroughly enjoyed, and there's that.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Awesome. Yeah.